Welcome, everybody, to The Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. It is today, check your calendars, it's March 15th, otherwise known as the Ides of March. And I invite the Russian oligarchs in Putin's inner circle to celebrate the day in whatever way seems most appropriate. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Just take a stab at it. Putin's war has been brutal and monstrous for Ukraine, but it's also not going so great for Russia. Almost all of the Russian advances in Ukraine remain stalled. In fact, U.S. intelligence, actually, yes, I agree. Why not? Let us celebrate while we can. In fact, U.S. intelligence actually intercepted the latest progress report from the Russian military, and the invasion is buffering. It's buffering. Tough to get a signal out there. The Russians are bogged down pretty much everywhere, including the infamous convoy north of Kyiv, which did not appreciably progress over the weekend. Oh, that's got to make traffic hell. It is I, Chopper Yevgeny, in the backwards ones. Tanks are bumper to cannon on road to Kyiv. Drivers are encouraged to surrender. Now for weather, we go to cloudy Olek with a 5-day graycast. Did that sound like anything? Did that sound like... Chopper.
They come like this, huh? Hey.
I like it. You got it. Russia's military failures have inspired hope for peace within the Ukrainian government. One advisor to Zelensky says the war could be over by May, just in time for summer. And Zelensky's body is beach ready, baby. That, by the way, the surprising thing is, that's not a Photoshop. And I'm not surprised a president looks like that. I'm surprised a comedian looks like that. I find it offensive. Frankly, I find it offensive. One of the more brutal tactics Russia has employed in Ukraine is abducting at least 2 mayors to install pro-Russian replacements. But that doesn't scare Kyiv mayor and former boxer Vitaly Klitschko.
What are you going to do if the Russians try to kidnap you?
I am ready to fight. It will be not easy to do that.
Damn straight. That guy, you know who he was? You know who he was?
Heavyweight.
That guy was the heavyweight champion of the world. You're not going to bring him in. Plus, mayors have all those giant scissors for cutting ribbons. There isn't a prison door that can hold him. We're going, follow me! In fact, there hasn't been a mayor this tough since former UFC champ Roger McCheese. One town whose mayor has been replaced by a pro-Russian puppet is Melitopol. And the new not really mayor there told residents that Russian state television channels would now be broadcast in Melitopol so people could get accurate information. Yes, they'll be treated to accurate Russian stories like, despite how you feel, you are happy. And they can watch the popular Russian state children's program, Peppa Potato. We all know her catchphrase. Say it with me. It's potato. The world.
Oh, wow.
Everybody knows it. It's a hot. Everybody loves that one. The world continues to rally around Ukraine. Today, leaders from Poland, the Czech Republic, and Slovenia traveled to Kyiv to express solidarity. Wow, that is super brave. Probably not the easiest trip to pack for, though. Honey, which shirt do you think goes best with my black flak jacket? Also, do we have any travel-size Molotov cocktails? They have to be less than 3 ounces. Now, of course, because of the conflict, the leaders couldn't fly. Instead, they set out for Kyiv by train. Wow. The trains are still running there? European train service is so much better than ours. The only war zone you see on Amtrak is the bathroom. Yeah, even members of the Russian state media are beginning to side against the war. Check out what happened yesterday on Russian state TV news.
Премьер подчеркнул, надо усилить сотрудничество в рамках союзного государства, а на совещании в правительстве обсуждали, как сохранить...
That is incredibly brave and inspiring. Good for her. That's not
Yes,
easy.
that's right.
That's not an easy choice. I haven't seen anyone stand up to a lying autocrat like that since Tucker Carlson was protested by the green M&M. Now, the woman stands strong. Now, the woman in Russia was Marina Ovsyannikova, and her sign said, "No war," and then in Russian, "Don't believe the propaganda. They're lying to you here." That is a fantastic sign and a brave statement.
That's the right sign.
You can't, who does that? I only have one bone to pick. "They're lying to you here" is already the motto of crypto.com. Now, Ovsyannikova is an editor and a producer on Russian state TV. Oh, trust me, as someone who works on TV, you do not want to piss off the editors. They're the ones who fix all the mistakes you make during tapings. Or so I have heard. The anti-war message Marina Ovsyannikova put on her poster is so illegal in Russia that when a local newspaper reported on the story, they had to blur everything except the line, "Don't believe the propaganda." So they can't say war. What are they telling people the story is about? Was the headline, "Non-protester learns to spell propaganda"? After her brave protest, Ovsyannikova wasn't seen for hours, and people were worried. Thankfully, this morning, her lawyer shared a photo of her in court. And according to the Washington Post, the Kremlin isn't looking to punish her and dismiss her actions as hooliganism, and said the television channel, not the Kremlin, was dealing with this, which isn't great either. Remember, the television channel can transfer her to a different show, like the Russian equivalent of Shark Tank, which is a tank of sharks. Ovsyannikova was found guilty of organizing an illegal protest and fined 30,000 rubles, to which she said, "Oh, thank God, I thought you were going to ask for money." Her courage... Her courage has been admired all around the world, including by Ukrainian President Zelensky, who thanked her during an address to his people last night.
I am grateful to those Russians who do not stop trying to convey the truth. And personally to the woman who entered the studio of Channel 1 with a poster against the war. To those who are not afraid to protest. As long as your country has not completely closed itself off from the whole world, turning into a very large North Korea, you must fight.
He's right. Russia is becoming so isolated, it's about to be a new North Korea. Before you know it, Vladimir Putin will be Vladimir Putin. It's not a bad look. It's not a bad look. No. The repercussions of Putin's war have even reached space, because U.S. astronaut Mark Vande Hei, who has just set a new record by living in the ISS for almost a year, will now be riding a Russian capsule home in the midst of deepening tensions between our countries. That is going to be an awkward ride. Hey, how about that lack of weather we have up here in space? Seen any good movies lately? I was just watching The Hunt for Red October. All right, so let's play a game. Let's play a game. I spy with my... No, I'm not a spy. I'm not a spy. Vande Hei has reason to be nervous. Russia's space agency hasn't exactly been chill since the war started. They are led by Russian hardliner and winterized ham hock, Dmitry Rogozin. Rogozin recently posted a series of threatening tweets about how, without Russia, the ISS could come crashing down on the US, Europe, India, or China. Well, that's most of the continents. That's not a very precise, evil plan. Everything is in place to blow up the hospital, Batman. Or the fire department. Or the IHOP off I-95. Or my house. Spider doing push-ups on a mirror. That wasn't Rogozin's only threat. In response to American sanctions, he announced Russia would stop the sale of rockets to the U.S., saying, "Let them fly on something else. They're broomsticks." They don't have broomsticks on the ISS. All they have is a vacuum, and they have to poop into it. Joke's based on a true story. Enter billionaire Tesla founder Elon Musk, Seen here asking you to guess if the next thing he does will be cool or embarrassing. Musk is also the owner of SpaceX, and at last week's rocket launch, Musk's team hit back at the Ruskies, saying, "Time to let the American broomstick fly. Take that, Russia! We don't need you. We just need help from a wackadoo billionaire who shoots sports cars into high orbit and thinks imaginary dog money should live in the cloud." Of course. Yes. You clean that up. You clean that up, bro. There we go. Of course, it being Elon Musk, he immediately had to get the do all wacky, tweeting, "I hereby challenge Vladimir Putin to single combat. Stakes are Ukraine." Come on, Elon. You might be the richest man who ever lived, but you can't go challenging evil dictators to fistfights. You're a father now. You have to think of your kids. I want to say, little Skrillex and his sister Control-Alt-Delete. We got a great show for you tonight. My guests are Anne Hathaway and Dave